What is going on, wrestling fans? It's I, Steve Fall. Welcome back to 10 Count Media on today's edition to another episode of the Whole Reffin' Podcast with Earl Hebner. How are you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It's good to be back again.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure to crack open that skull and get some stories out of you. And today, we're talking about something that, this could have ended really bad for Vader. It's the time Vader was stuck in Kuwait. And before we even get to that, I have a question for you because this is kind of what sets off Vader and sets off this whole thing. He's asked, is wrestling fake? And Vader loses his mind. Is that question a common thing you get when you go to festivals and events and signings? Do people come up to you and ask you that question?
Yeah, they ask me, and me, I kind of ignore it. I just I don't even hear it or whatever, and I don't even answer it. If they're stupid enough to ask me that, they're not going to work me up like they did Vader. I'm just gonna go. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, because over the years, this question has been brought up: is wrestling fake? Is wrestling fake? And we have seen reporters slapped in the face, choked out, and then here in Kuwait, of all places. Now, in your book, you have a few hilarious stories about this event, and your book is for sale. Of course, there it is above my head. You can get it at earlhebner.com, where all these stories and so much more is inside there. But Kuwait, you're there. Is this your first time in Kuwait for professional wrestling in 1997?
What's that? I'm sorry.
In 97, is this your first time visiting Kuwait?
I think so.
Wow.
I know we went to a bunch of those places over like Desert Storm and Kuwait, and it's hard for me to remember now.
Well, you've traveled around the world, so I can understand why sometimes places look the same. But yet, you're there on tour with the wrestlers. Vader is on a talk show like you see most of the time when wrestling comes to town. They do the news circuit, and Vader is asked the question, is wrestling fake? The Undertaker tries to downplay it. Vader does not downplay it. He grabs this man by the throat. He threatens to beat him up on live television. Now, the story is you're at a bar with all the wrestlers, and you see this clip play over and over and over again on television. What's your reaction? What's the reaction in the bar of everyone seeing this happen?
It's kind of, it was really stupid on Vader's part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he's from the old school. Okay. Like me. And when you say that, it's an insult to these guys in the old school. But the new generation has let it all out, let the cat out of the bag, and it's basically, like I said, there's no kayfabe anymore because the new generation has spoiled it.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll put it this way: the new generation has made it so that they ask you these questions.
Right. Instead of being choked out or slapped in the face.
Right.
Yeah, in today's world, they even have shows where they show the writer's room when they're creating these storylines. So Vader beaten down, he didn't beat him down. He kind of choked him, grabbed him, gave him a little fluff here, there, because he wanted to keep the business safe. He wanted to keep the business intact. But you're at the bar with the wrestlers. You see this clip on television. What is everyone thinking? Like, oh, that's cool, or that was stupid. Like, what are the wrestlers' thoughts?
Well, if you go back to the older days, most of the old guys would punch you or cuss you out or do something out of the normal. Okay, the guys these days, they publicize it. It's fake.
Mm-hmm.
That's their fault. Hell, they party with each other. They go out to restaurants with each other. You go out with your opponent that just whooped your ass, and you're sitting next door. You're sitting in front of him eating supper. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of crap is that? You know why? Because they don't care anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know the business. They're young and dumb.
So, do you think today's world, the wrestlers would grab a TV anchor if they were asked, "Is wrestling fake?" Or old school, they did this. In today's world, they would never do this.
The ones today, if somebody walked up and said, "Hey, is wrestling fake?" They go, "Yeah."
Mm,
Guess how stupid they are.
yeah. Well, it makes sense.
I
It's
mean, look at this. Look at all the things that are going on in the world now with wrestling.
mhm.
Uh, they uh, they just publicize it on commercials and this, that, and the other, and uh, it's not like it's not like it's a guessing game who's going to win anymore. Everybody already knows.
They have Vegas odds are out there too, so you can actually not 100% bet on these matches, but in
Right.
today you can bet on anything in today's world. You could just go anywhere you want. But when you see this, because David Schultz got in trouble many years ago and he did something like this and he got in trouble. Here we are. Vader does this. He gets put in jail, like
Yeah, he
in
was.
jail.
Yeah, he
And
was.
does what's the how did you feel about Vader at this point in time? Did you like him? Did you not
I
like
loved
him?
him. I loved him. He was a great athlete. He was a hard worker. He believed in what he did. He done in the ring. He made it look as real as you could make anything look real.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask a guy like Vader from the old school, it's an insult.
So, what did everybody else think about him though? Because there's been stories that people didn't like Vader, didn't get along because he was a little snug. Did other wrestlers were happy he was arrested, or were wrestlers like, "Man, this sucks"?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I remember when we were all loaded the plane to leave, and we're taking off, right? And as soon as we take off, everybody hollering, "Hey, hey, goodbye, Vader!" I mean, it was through the whole plane. I mean, everybody made a big joke out of it
Oh,
toward Vader.
poor. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, poor Vader. Yeah.
you
But
know, you know, uh, it was really a more of a classic joke, and he got locked up, and they wheeled a deal, a lot of things to try to get him out, and then it was already caught, and like I think the army was going to helicopter him out,
yeah,
and they caught hold of that, and they said if you do, blah blah blah, this is gonna be it, and this that and the other, and but leave, when you got say 30 guys leaving, 31 is stuck in jail. It's a big joke. It's not really trying to condemn him or hurt him. It's just funny that
yeah.
see you, Vader. You know,
He was like homeschooled and stuck. He was like locked inside of his I don't know why I say homeschooled. He was locked inside of his hotel room where he couldn't leave.
right?
And he says, Vader, that is, that people would walk by pounding on the door because they knew who was inside it, yelled terrible things at him. Like, he's locked in some place that he's never probably going to get out of either, because this is a long time, 2 weeks. And I believe the punishment for something like this at the time is years. Like, he could have been in jail
Uh,
for years
right,
because it was a government owned media station, which, in different countries, obviously they do different things. And this was one of those things where public behavior is a big thing, disrespect on state run media. A lot of bad things could have happened here, but Undertaker, he was fine. He was on the show. Nothing happened to him. He just sat there, did his thing, and he left. But it's so you're saying that everyone's singing that Vader's in jail and no one seems to care about Vader being locked up, and they
right,
don't really care that it could be for a long time.
right. They didn't care.
Wow.
Um,
So no friends. Vader had no friends in the locker room.
no,
Wow.
I mean he
That's
did. Uh, he created his own enemies.
Was he hard to work with?
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He never liked doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he thought it was too big and too powerful and whatever, and and then that put salt in the wound. Not putting another guy over, a young guy over that could sell tickets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Because this is 97, and the plan, at least according to the world, is Vader is supposed to beat Shawn Michaels. Like, Vader even has a pay-per-view named after him, and he's not even on the pay-per-view. Like, that's that's gonna hurt a little bit. Why do you think Vader didn't work out?
Vader had his own mindset of what he wanted to do, what he won't going to do,
Mm,
and that was his rules of him in the business. Uh, he wasn't going to let a guy 2 times smaller than him beat him because he
mm.
didn't look right. But which you know, and he hated doing jobs. Period. But to have a job, you got to do a job.
Right. And especially where the first thing we talked about is wrestling fake? These are predetermined endings. You're not
Right,
actually Vader. You're not actually beating Shawn Michaels, the wrestler, the
right.
person. You are beating him in a storyline that is planned out. Now, obviously, it takes athletes to pull these off. Great storylines to make us care, to disbelieve that it is real. Like people get hurt. We have talked about it already. People get hurt,
Well,
and I'm not downplaying any of that. But apparently, Vader was not loved in the locker room, and they didn't care when he got locked up. When he comes finally back on the road, do you know if like anyone treated him differently? Did anyone kind of say anything to him? Because now he has suffered hard.
he was like a loner. People
Mm-hmm.
really didn't care. There wasn't a lot of activity from the talent going up and making buddies or friends or conversations like that. But look at this: who's going to sell more tickets, Shawn Michaels or Van Vader?
Yeah.
And even though Shawn is smaller than Vader, regardless of the situation in your head or who you are, it doesn't matter. It's it's the ticket. Who in the hell's selling the tickets? Shawn Michaels or Vader? And if Vader's not
Yeah.
wrestling, if Shawn's a champion and Vader's not wrestling him, who cares? The next guy in line is going to wrestle Shawn, but who's going to buy tickets to see Shawn? And who's going to buy tickets to see his opponent?
Yeah.
It's it's a business. It's a
Mm-hmm.
work, and these guys don't understand that. You don't get paid. Uh, I'm trying to figure the accomplishment. The goal in this business is to put asses in seats,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who you are or who. If you're going to draw, you're going to draw. If you're not going to draw, then we got to switch it around to somebody that is going to draw.
Yeah. Agreed.
So that's how you
I
make money. It's
mm-hmm.
not nobody ever got a check in this business that I know of for W win or L for loss. It's all called asses in seats, and that's what gets you a paycheck.
Yeah. Vader. He had his ass in jail, unfortunately, for about 2 weeks, for a little while. But yeah, but he was locked inside of his hotel.
Yeah,
I just feel like even if he was a piece of shit, like I don't know him personally, but even if he was terrible, in my brain, if I was him, I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Because you have no idea what's about to happen to you. You think that, oh, well, I'm a US citizen and I'll get away and everything will be fine. And whoops, I made a mistake. Because Vader says before he passed away in other interviews he said he was told to be Vader. He was told by the directors and the producers of this show to grab this anchor and make him afraid. Apparently, no one told the talent this was going to happen, and the WWF told Vader to be Vader on the show. It's very hard for me to believe that that's all true because, if that was true, would he have gone to jail? would he have been in trouble if this was all planned out by the director and the producer? So I don't know the real story, but it feels like everyone's telling different versions of a different story. I don't know.
Well, here's the whole deal. Okay, it's it's regardless of whether he asked him whether it's fake or not. He's from the old school, but it's like a promo. Okay, you got your limitations, so be smart. Use your head. Okay, but he shouldn't have. He could have worked. He could have worked with that announcer or television guy just like a match. Okay, he didn't have to hurt him, but he was probably pissed, angry because he said that. But look at Taker. Taker never grabbed nobody, hurt nobody.
He's back to. He's like, I'm not here. I'm not part of this.
Right. So I mean, come on, man. Use your head. You know.
I know.
That's not going to hurting somebody and staying in jail 2 weeks after we left. What does that do for you? The only thing he did for him, he probably lost a little bit of weight. Other than that, it was stupid. The whole thing was stupid on his part.
Yeah. Well, especially it's an international incident as well. You didn't do this in Georgia. You didn't do this in New York or Philadelphia. You did this somewhere that has different rules. And apparently no one checked in on the actual rules of Kuwait. And I'm guessing that's kind of what happened here too. And, Vader said Vince McMahon pretty much let him take all the heat. They never acknowledged this on television either. This is like a story that came out years later. So they didn't acknowledge that Vader was missing. They didn't acknowledge that any of this was going on. But Vader does blame Vince McMahon a little bit, saying like, well, you could have helped me quicker, but you didn't. And I don't know about that because that's a lot of shit to deal with when you get governments trying to get this big guy who did grab some guy on television that everyone saw, but somehow get him free and say, well, that was just a storyline. It was just a little ha ha ha, a little move, promote the show. And that's what it did. I guess that's what it's supposed to do. But it totally backfired on Vader. I probably sold more tickets, I'm guessing. I don't know. I wasn't there that night.
Well, I don't know about the ticket sales because probably the ticket sales were already done.
That's probably true too.
It's probably you might have sold another whatever. If it was sold out, you don't get tickets no way. Okay? But the thing was, that would have been good publicity to sell more tickets. But stay in your character. Know what you got to do. You know
that's what happened.
If it's fake, it's fake, but you hurt this guy. So that's not fake.
True. He made that guy a believer, but in my brain, it's not worth going to jail or getting on the heat because if Vader didn't get free, in my brain, there's no way that WWF or Vince McMahon would have done anything possible to get him out. They'd be like, all right, well, you did something wrong illegally. We can't help you. You're fired. And all right, let's move on. I'm guessing that's how it would have gone if Vader couldn't have gotten out of Kuwait.
Right.
That's my guess. I'm not Vince McMahon, so.
It's like you screwed this up. Nobody did this to you except yourself.
Right.
You knew better. We all know right from wrong, regardless. Okay. Whether we're in the ring or we're in a restaurant or we're in a production meeting or we're in a meet and greet, you don't go around beating the fans up because somebody asked you a question.
That's a good point too. That's a good point. That's why, though, I think in your book, you do mention that the producer and director might have told Vader to do that, to be like, but they didn't tell anybody else. So then really his story doesn't get, have any leverage, Vader's story, because if that's true, then the producer and director could have been like, no, everything's fine. We planned this, but they did not. So Good Morning Kuwait was the show that Undertaker and Vader appeared on in 1997 to help promote the shows in Kuwait. And it's funny because that's the last time you guys go back to Kuwait. Before that, you had the Kuwaiti Cup, but this time Vader went to jail. I don't remember a Kuwaiti tour after this, and probably for good reason. Just to guess, it might have been this one.
Right.
Might have been, but yeah. I think we poor Vader, but as the song goes, na 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 na, hey. Goodbye. Because no one cared that you were in jail, and that's unfortunate, I guess.
Right.
But I don't know Vader, so maybe he was mean to them, but he was nice to me as a TV character. But all in all, Earl, thank you so much for talking about Vader in Kuwait today on the whole Reffin podcast. I'm C-Fall. He's Earl Hebner. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.